we get a lot of questions on the website and also from customers coming into our stores about the best practice in terms of insulating an attic. Okay, so we've plenty of products that are available to do this, and this is actually quite a cost-effective way of improving the energy efficiency of your home. 30% of the building's heat loss happens through the roof. Okay, so it's in a lot of cases, it's a very easy win because a lot of people have attic space that they can get access to. So a couple of points to note. The current building regulations require you to have 300 millimeters of wool insulation to make up the current building regulations. So a few points that you need to really deal with when you're going to have a look at your attic. The first thing is to measure your joist on your ceiling level in the attic. If you're going to insulate it, if the attic is uninhabited or you don't have a room and roof or anything like that, my best advice to you would be insulate at ceiling level, because there's no point in insulating at rafter level and trapping heat that's already escaped from the habitable space in the house. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, do you want a warm roof or a cold roof? A warm roof would be insulation at rafter level. A cold roof is insulation at ceiling level. Some people tend to ask us, well, if I have a cold roof, will my pipes freeze? Or will my attic tank freeze over? That can be easily fixed by insulating around the pipes and the tank. So if you're not using your attic except for storage, there's plenty of ways to maximize your storage and also maximize or reduce the amount of heat loss in the dwelling by insulating at ceiling level. Okay, so the best way to explain this is, in order to insulate at ceiling level, you want to run insulation between your ceiling joists. They may be 4 inches or 100 mil thick. They could be 150 mil thick. Best practice dictates that you put a layer of insulation in between the joist, and then you put a top layer of insulation running the opposite way to the joist. This should total up to 300 millimeters in thickness. We sell 3 sizes, so you could have 100 mil, 150 mil, and 200 mil are all available in rolls. These rolls tend to they tend to be sold embossed. So normally they'd have 3 sections at 400 millimeters, which generally tends to be the rafter width, all depending on the age of the house, but modern construction would be around about 400 millimeters. The real trick to this is the top layer must be running opposite to the joist for one main reason. Heat passes through timber faster than it will through insulation. So you want to try and stop that faster heat loss through the timber, which is called a thermal bridge. And the way to do that is by insulating at the top layer, running the opposite way. So you've got a complete thermal layer there. So it stops this idea of thermal bridging. Heat's like water. It'll always look for the path of least resistance when it's traveling through any substrate. Another point to note, so if you are looking for storage space, there are products available now like loft legs, which you can attach to your joist and then build up storage space above your insulation layer. Insulation doesn't really like being compressed, so it's not a good idea to store stuff on top of the insulation because you won't get the same thermal performance. Another really important thing to do, if you have access to your attic, so i.e. a hatch or a shomra, a hatch or a styra, apologies. What you really need to do there is make sure and put a draft seal around that door, because airflow is a huge contributor to heat loss. If you've got gaps in the building envelope and air is passing through that, you can pretty much guarantee that there's a lot of heat going out there as well. So you want to try and seal up as many gaps as you can around about where you have attic hatches and things like that. You have to be a little bit careful when you're insulating at rafter level, because you shouldn't really smother the roof of air. It does need to breathe, otherwise you're going to get condensation issues. But at ceiling level, 300 mil of insulation, 1 between the rafters, 1 over the top. Seal up your attic hatch, and then you can work on your storage after that. Okay, so loft legs are a product that are sold. They're fundamentally a very small cast plastic leg that can be fixed directly on top of your roof joist, and it'll allow the insulation to be put right up. So you've got a tiny profile of where the loft leg goes up. On top of the loft leg, they have platforms on them that you can put sheet material for storage, which will hover over the insulation layer. So you get the advantage of still having storage space, coupled with the advantage of the insulation layers being in situ.